So we got the four-wheeler and its trailer hooked up. We've had a tire that would go low, slow leak. I just thought it's time to get it fixed. Rain last night, pretty good. So today we vaccinated all our cattle with a Triangle 10, which is kind of an annual thing. Sometimes they do it even twice a year, but anyway, I'm thinking tomorrow to bring some dry cows up to the heifer pasture. And I got to take the generator up and get that hooked up to the well and run some water and get that tank ready up there. So that's our plan. So we got a tubeless winnow tree. So I think we're just going to cut our stem because we don't really know where it's leaking. It's slow leak. It could be anything. It could have been the stem even, but the tube is reasonably cheap, so we're just going to put a tube in. We put a tube on there, but it's not really the right size, but I think it will stretch. And being that this little trailer, we just use this trailer to pull around the farm with a four-wheeler, sometimes to fetch up a newborn calf or something that's born out in the pasture. So I guess if it doesn't work, it won't be the end of the world. We'll survive. But sometimes you just gotta make things work. Okay, this is our generator for the well up on the hill. I hadn't had this out since last fall, but we're just going to check a few things on it. Sometimes I just let it run until it actually runs out of fuel. So the fuel is empty. Looks like our oil is where it belongs. Just a Briggs & Stratton, kind of one of your Fleet Farm specials from, I think we bought this back in '07. Yeah, I think I ran it dry, so there's a little fuel in there. Then what we do is we just, usually about 2 cups of fuel will fill 800 gallons. So then we'll, maybe at first I'll add more and then we'll let it run so the tank runs over, kind of flush out everything really good. And then from there on, when we fill the tank, we'll just adjust the fuel by how much water we would like it to fill. So it just runs out. That's been working for a long time that way. And I had a little trouble with the fuel line. And I tried to get some parts and we couldn't. And I kind of put a makeshift float in, a different valve, but I had to cut a hole through the top of the tank to get in there. I just duct taped it shut, which maybe I could put some new tape on there for the summer, but anyway, it's gonna work. We're gonna work on that, see if we can get it running. We'll check back when we get that happening. Okay, so we got it started here. Been sitting all winter, so took off the fuel hose, made sure I had fuel coming down through there and things like that. But put it back on and I got it running, so we're gonna get her loaded up and head on up there and set it up. Okay, so this is our generator trailer, you could say. Kind of an old manure spreader that was kind of, well, I kind of made a makeshift roof over it. Nothing too particular, but just enough to keep the rain and the sun and everything off the wiring that comes into it. And then there's a wire that comes over from the well to this trailer, and that stays up here until fall. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing started.
take this old broom down and maybe we scrub a little bit before we put the cork in. There's always a few leaves or something in there. So this is an 800-gallon concrete tank. And this is pretty much the center of our pasture, our heifer pasture, pretty much. The water's pretty soft up here. I think this well up here is, I think it's 180 feet. But we're up a lot higher from our buildings too. Yeah, more than once I've seen hoof tracks in the bottom of the tank, and it sits on the bottom. So some heifer or something got either pushed in or climbed in accidentally or whatever, but no harm done here. They just pop out and everything's good. No damages. And their hooves are usually just, well, they're pretty clean. They might be dusty, but they're not, there's no manure by the, like that in the barnyard. And there's one of the ponds down there. And I used to let them drink out of that years ago when we built it, but then they would all stand in there in the real hot weather, and I didn't think that was very healthy for them to drink besides, so that's fenced off. We got another one on the other opposite side of this hill over here, fenced off besides. Sometimes when the water, well, when it rains a lot, the water does kind of come up to the edges where they can reach under the fence and get some if they would need to, but this is their primary water up here. That way we can kind of rule out different diseases and things like that. I mean, I've seen the wildlife sipping out of this tank more than once. You see their tracks. Now down here, this is maybe only about 50 feet away from it. This is our salt feeder, and it's just a carved out log, which works great. I've tried different stuff, but they rust through if they're iron or fall apart from the salt. But yeah, and you can see the deer tracks here. So the deer come in here, and there's still some old salt mineral in there from last year yet. So there, I'm engineering every day. But anyway, it's time for a new log, which is easy for me. I could carve something like that out quite easily. But anyway, this is our back 40. 80, I should say. It's a back 80, and then you go over the top of that hill. There's what we call the orchard. There's more grass there, some open field back in there they can get to.